Okay, let's do another comparison. Let's drive to more. It's quite obvious. First, a correct one. First, a real hip thrust. See, I am always moving this. This drives my hand to move. It might look like my hand is moving, but my hand really isn't moving much. I am always like this, look. Right, I am always like this. I am always using my body to brace my hand during the drive. Right, so what is the incorrect one? Look. Incorrect. Can you tell now? Is it easy to get jammed by the ball like this? Can't you just step back? If you take the ball early like this, you pose the greatest threat to your opponent. You can tell by hitting one ball. Yes, in this situation, you cannot possibly be using hip thrust power. If my contact point is behind, I will always rely more on arm power. Because if my contact point is behind, it's simple. I want my contact point in front. If my right leg is braced, my hand doesn't move at all. I just rotate like this, my hip thrusts and my entire action is produced. Only then can I use my hip to drive the body, to drive the arm. My hand basically doesn't need to move. My entire action framework is already formed. Right, then look at my hand in this situation. Can my hand not move? Is that understandable? Can my hand not move? With my contact point like this, no matter how I rotate my hip, I can only rotate to here and stop. Can you see? My action is incomplete. So at this point, your power inevitably comes from the arm. You have to reach forward a bit, right? Is that understandable? If I am in this position, no matter how much I rotate, I can't get it across. No matter how exaggerated I am, I can't rotate enough. I'm always this far short. Your foot still has to move forward. So at this point, even if I tell you to use hip thrust, your arm is short this distance. You have to reach forward. So at this time, you more or less have to extend the arm forward a bit. So isn't that contrary to the principle we discussed? So what about looping? Looping at the same point. Where do I contact the ball for looping? Let me loop a few in a row first. I'm not using full power. I'm just showing everyone the basic movement. Can you see? My current contact point. Can you see? Am I still here? Am I still here? Am I still here? Am I still here? Right, I just moved this action. I stand further back. Can I still find the hip thrust contact point? I just stood further back. The issue isn't about standing far or near. It's not about whether I stand close or far. Say I stand further back. As long as I rotate at this position, can I accomplish what I said? Without moving my arm, just using my body and legs, I form my action framework. Look at me in this state. You said my hand didn't move, right? It didn't move. Has my action come out? My hand isn't moving now. Only in this position can I truly use hip thrust. Why do I say you can't use hip thrust if the point is behind? Think about it. It's the same issue. Your contact point is here. Then you only thrust this far. Just like I just explained with driving. If your contact point is in this position, no matter how you thrust your hip, there is a distance deficit. It's short a segment. If I am at this point and I thrust my hip, look, my hand is completely still. I'm not moving. Look, if I contact the ball at this point, I just need to rotate like this. As long as my contact point is here, I just need to rotate my hip, and my action is complete. Right, then at this time, am I applying power that is completely driven by the legs, body? and arm. But if my contact point is here, my contact point is here. No matter how I thrust my hip, my hand is still motionless. If my contact point is here, no matter how I thrust, I'm still short. If I thrust again, it only reaches here. It's still short this part. Then this missing part, doesn't it have to be compensated by the arm? Don't I have to make it up with my arm? Isn't your power generation missing? This isn't the pure body-driven arm power we talk about. At this time, doesn't your arm have to extend forward more by itself? So, let's hit 2 with power. Isn't looping about 3 o'clock? Why are you asking about the clock again? Brother, don't worry about this point. Hey, let me loop to properly. Look, you said eye contact at this point. Let me loop to with power. Right, so if your right foot is back, you deviate from the main concept we discussed. We talk about power coming entirely from the body driving the arm. Doesn't that contradict our concept? Should the weight not transfer to the left leg? When you engage the right side, will the left side follow? When you thrust the right side, the left foot will not drive come along. So if your right side is correct, your left side is correct. Right, so you don't need to worrying about the left. You just need to focus on hip rotation and thrust here. Then this side will be correct. Right, then why are you looking for the left? Let me feed a couple of multi-balls. Hey, then look how I generate power from this position. Topspin. Is my power also from this position? Do I have a whipping action? I have the whip, right? I can also hit backspin at this point. The question just now was about the backspin position. Backspin is exactly the same. Topspin, you retract more. Backspin, you drop lower. In that case, you can also loop backspin. Why can't you loop backspin like this? The contact point is the same here. The only difference is that topspin requires more backward retraction, and backspin requires more downward loading. Isn't it still here? Is it still here? Right, is it still here? I can understand the theory we're discussing. It's always like this, always like this. This playing style is very related to the ball's distance. Why is that? What? Let me move back further. I can retreat to that room. I can still hit the ball at this contact point. Far enough. Look, my contact point is still here. The contact point is the point in front of your body. It has nothing to do with how far or near you stand. No matter how far I stand, I can still loop the ball at this point. It's a question of whether I am braced or not. I mentioned this when talking about hip thrust just now. You might see my contact point as early, but actually, it's because this side of my body is positioned more forward, making my contact point earlier. It's not that if I'm far, I must loop here. When I'm far, doesn't the ball also jump from here? Jump into my body area and then past. Doesn't the ball fly over like this? So theoretically, isn't there still this point? Then I just loop at that point. Yes, a bit higher. Yes, come on. Sorry. Where did I loop? Where did I loop? Isn't it still here? Right, so it has nothing to do with me standing far or near. Some players might say, this is related to how far you stand from the table. It's not related. Can I loop at this point from the back? Of course. Right, because what is the ball? It comes over. No matter how fast, long, short, far, or near, it always has a trajectory of coming over, bouncing, and flying past. Right, so theoretically, as long as I can find that point, there is always a point where I can loop the ball. There can't be a ping-pong ball that jumps up and, unless it's a heavy backspin or some strange side spin chop, as long as it's a normally flying ping-pong ball, doesn't it have a process of jumping up and then falling? Right, in that case, there must be a point during that I can find to exert force and loop it. High or low, don't I adjust? High and low can be adjusted. High and low is a separate issue. Is there a difference between height and this? Then for backspin, did I loop this ball? For backspin, if the ball drops low, how to loop? Topspin just bounces higher. Backspin lands on the table and drops down like this. Backspin lands on the table. Doesn't it also have a dropping process? It just isn't like topspin. Backspin is like this. Doesn't it also have a high point? Doesn't it also have an early point? Then I can also attack it. Why can't I attack it? Why can't I attack it? Why can't I attack it? Can you see? So am I still looping here? Come on, high balls. High, like this high. Then someone just asked how to find the high point. This is late contact. Is this late? Come high again. This is early contact. Right, so it has nothing to do with height. It has nothing to do with height, spin type, because all ping-pong balls landing on the table will bounce. Just the bounce height differs. This backspin, topspin, far, near, is just about whether it bounces higher or lower. The ball itself lands on the table. It will bounce down regardless. Right, so understood. Yes, demands good footwork. Yes, demands good footwork. High core competency demands. But what I'm talking about is, this is the correct way to use the hips. Right, I can't just talk about using hips, but actually loop like this. I'm talking about this. Is it looping the early rising phase? It's not exactly looping the early rising phase. For high arc loops, I can also loop at this point. It's about whether you brace this side. The point is in front, not to the side. I can also loop high arc like this. I can also loop at this point. Is it in the late descending phase? You see, my high arc is also looped at this point. It's about looping here versus looping here. It's not that you must grab a specific so-called point to loop. Yes, the positional relationship between the body and the ball. The ball is always here. High arc, I can also be here. Forward drive, counter looping, driving, I can also be here. Any shot, I can be here. Looping half-long balls, that's included. Looping half-long isn't even worth mentioning.